This shade doesn't even show on my skin. Here's another, and it looks completely washed out. This one's a no-go. And how about this peach blush? I don't even know where that blush went. It simply disappeared in my skin. Whoever thought Peach Fuzz would be a fabulous Pantone color of the year? Or is it a fabulous color? How will it look on brown skin girlies like us? You know what's funny about this whole situation? You can make any shade work on you, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to play with different tones to make every shade work on every skin tone. And I'm going to show you how to create a delicate monotone peach look that'll go on any skin tone. Let's start with the base makeup, and I'm going to be using the Supercharged Revitalizing Face Mist by Milani. Face mists help to hydrate the skin. They're not really setting sprays, but more like a spray moisturizer. And then for primer, I'm trying something new that I've never tried before. This is the Lancome Priming Serum 24 Hours Hydrating Smoothing Primer. I'm taking just a little bit with the spatula provided, and I'm going to rub it between my hands, and it's got a very oily texture at first, although it's not greasy. It has a smoothing oily texture, and I'm going to apply this all over my face, and according to their website, it's good on all skin types. And then from the NYX color correcting palette, I'm going to pick up this peach shade and apply it to my uneven skin tone, including dark patches, dark circles, as well as the dark spots that I have on my face to neutralize and even it out. The peach corrector, if you didn't know, cancels out the blue and purple undertones to bring the uneven skin tone to more of a balanced skin tone, over which you can apply any other makeup without it looking ashy. I like to blend out the edges with my fingers so there's no harsh edges left when you apply other makeup. And I like to wait for it to completely dry before I use my foundation. For foundation, I'm going to be using L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear, and this is in the shade Radiant Sand. This, my friends, is one of the most lightweight and breathable foundations from the drugstore, and it's also very long wearing. This, in fact, feels like nothing on the skin, and it's also sweat, water, and transfer resistant, and is infused with SPF 25. It's non-comedogenic and suitable on all skin types. The brush that I'm using is my all-time favorite foundation brush. This is from Real Techniques, and applying foundation with this brush is a dream. I like to dab the foundation with this brush rather than pulling or tugging on it. That way it gives you the most seamless full coverage. And as you can see, it's settling beautifully on my skin. And of course, because we used the color corrector before this, it has completely covered up all the spots and patches I had on my face. For concealer, I'm using my favorite Milani, but I'm going a shade lighter. This is the shade 140. I usually use 145, which is warm beige. I took the liberty of using a lighter shade of concealer to highlight the high planes because I've already used a color corrector to neutralize the areas that were uneven. So by applying a lighter shade of concealer over it, it's not going to give you the ashy tones. Instead, it's going to highlight the areas. Now, if I had used the lighter shade of concealer directly without color correcting, the concealer would have worked with the blue and purple undertones of my uneven skin tone and turned ashy. But that's not the case here because we've already neutralized those areas by color correcting. I'm going to blend everything out with a dry sponge. You can use a damp sponge if you prefer, but if you want more coverage, try using a dry sponge rather than damp sponge. Now, while adding foundation and concealer evens out everything, it also makes your face look flat without any dimension because it's just one tone throughout. So to bring back some warmth into the face, I'll be using a bronzer. And the one that I'll be using is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Bronzer. And this is in the shade Medium. I like to apply the bronzer in areas of my face where it's naturally sunken and the shadows are naturally cast. and creating the dimension with a bronzer will give you a sun-kissed look. I'm just going to be using the foundation brush again to blend everything out because there's going to be some residue of foundation left in the brush. That's going to mix with the bronzer to give you a more natural look. And then to sculpt my nose, I'm going to be using a concealer brush, again from Real Techniques. We need to make sure this makeup doesn't move. So I'm going to set it with some setting powder. And the one that I'm using today is Huda Beauty. With a powder puff, I'm going to press it gently all over my face. And then to melt all the powders and make it look more like skin, I'm going to be using the facial mist again. Now you can use a setting spray if you prefer. That's going to do both. That's going to set your face while it melts the powders. Or you can use a mist and you can use a setting spray at the end. For a look like this with delicate peach tones, I like to keep my brows looking very natural and delicate. Although I have very thick brows, I'm going to just fill in the sparse areas to make it look very natural. Using the Precisely My Brow from Benefit Cosmetics. This is a micro tip brow pencil and I'm using the shade 4.5. To set my brows in place, I'm going to be using a brow gel. This is the Almay Brow Styler. This is a transparent gel, so it's not going to add any excess color to my brows. It's only going to set it. Using the Milani concealer again, I'm going to apply a thin layer on my lid to clean up the lid space and even out the skin tone. And I'm going to very lightly set it with the Huda Beauty powder so the concealer doesn't crease. I'm going to be using the It's a Mood palette. This is by ColourPop. This has some stunning neutrals as well as peach shades. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. If you have skin tone like me, which is very close to a peach shade, rather than applying a light peach shade directly, try to mix it up with a deeper terracotta or a brown shade. I'm going to first dip into It's a Rush using a sponge tip applicator and stamp it in the outer V and the outer third of my lower lash line. The sponge tip applicators are perfect for eyeshadow placements because they pack a punch. And then I'm going to pick up this beautiful peach shade called Crave You and use it in the very outer C. With my finger, I'm going to smudge both of these shades together. And as you can see, it gives the most beautiful ombre of deeper peach tone, deepest being closer to the lashes. And as it moves upward and outward, it becomes lighter and lighter before it melts into my skin tone. Now, all I have to do is clean up the lid space, for which I'm going to be using some loose powder. Again, I'm using the Huda Beauty powder. Rather than using a harsh black eyeliner, I'm going to dip into a brown eyeshadow. This is called Our Deal. With an angled brush, I'm going to pull out a soft wing and line just the outer half of my lash line. And then using the Makeup Forever eye pencil in 500, which is Boundless Bisque, I'm going to line just the outer third of my lower waterline to make everything well put together and also to brighten up my eyes. And I'm going to finish up with a coat of mascara, and the one that I'll be using today is the Physicians Formula Lash Illusion Mascara. Lashes are optional, but if you plan to use them, try to use something that's very delicate, just like the eye makeup. And the one that I'll be using today is the Tati Lashes in TL21. These lashes are so delicate and sit so well with this eye look. I did use some mascara in my lower lashes as well, but it's completely optional. If you want to skip it, you might as well. Either way, it's going to look fantastic. And as you can see, although we used peach tones, it still looks fantastic on my skin tone. Just because we mixed up a little bit of terracotta as well as brown with it. So anytime you feel like you want to use a shade, but it's too light or washes off on your skin tone, try to mix and match with a deeper tone in the same shade range or family. Here, the shade family includes deeper terracotta tones, the browns as well as peaches. For a monotone peach look like this, you can combine a couple peach shades of blushes like I'm doing here. This is the Mini Mix palette by Ofra Cosmetics, and I'm going to combine the shades Punch with Mai Tai. That way you still get the peach tones and your blush doesn't look washed out again. And to stay true to the theme and family of shades, I'm going to first line my lips with the Makeup Forever lip pencil in the shade 600, which is Anywhere Caffeine. This has a mix of peach brown with an almost gray purple undertone. And then I'm going to fill in my lips with almost a terracotta shade lipstick by Makeup Forever in the shade 320. This is a tad deeper than what I want it to be. So I'm going to first apply it only to my upper lip and smudge it out to my lower lip as well before I clean up with a brush, and that'll give a softer look. Now there we have a super clean monotone peach look. It's not overwhelming and it doesn't look tacky. In fact, it looks very classy. In a similar manner, you can use any shade as I mentioned and try to mix and match with deeper shades to make it work for your skin tone. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. That'll only help me grow and post more tutorials for you. Check out the description box for all the products that I used along with links to my social media in case you would like to recreate this look and tag me. I love you guys so much and I will see you soon with a brand new one. Bye guys.